Good evening. Our top story this week. The state of Massachusetts goes to court to defend their child protective industry after a watchdog group known as Children's Rights files a class action lawsuit claiming widespread abuse in the state's foster care system. They're also claiming that 40 children died in 2011 while under the watchful eye of the Massachusetts child protective industry. In Colorado, a Catholic adoption agency threatens to close its doors if the state passes a civil unions law for gays while suggesting that they go to other agencies. Florida's child welfare system is in crisis. Although the number of child snatchings is down, they still don't have enough homes to place them all in. Two Florida state agency heads are warning that pimps and third-party labor contractors are targeting kids in the state's foster care system. And a Florida state senator is pushing a bill to give foster kids more normal lives so that they can do things with their friends or go on school trips without the fear of liability issues. In Maine, a lawmaker puts forth a bill that would let teachers carry concealed guns while at school. The state's snatching of Maine's Native American children for indoctrination purposes is discussed at a Martin Luther King Jr. event. An adoptive mother from Maine is testifying against cuts to her adoption subsidies after a budget curtailment order put forth by the governor, while the Maine child protective industry is seeking an additional $4.2 million due to what they're calling an unexpected increase in the number of foster kids, which they're blaming on drug abuse, which the governor cut treatment for under the state's Medicaid program. Michigan wants to make schools the hubs for many social services such as welfare and child protective services. A study from the University of New Hampshire finds that foster kids in rural areas are much more likely to be given psychiatric drugs than are kids in urban areas, while the number of ADHD diagnoses in kids jumps 24% in the United States over the last decade, and they're saying that the jump is due to heightened awareness from teachers and doctors, although we really know that it's due to all of the money that people make off of special needs kids. In Nebraska, the child protective industry is turning to Facebook to dig dirt on families and to find other people to place kids with after snatching them. In North Dakota, a blogger is accusing the Spirit Lake tribal chairman of incompetence and having a hand in murder over the child protective industry's failure to protect children from abusers and sexual predators. The North Dakota Spirit Lake social service director is charged with domestic violence. And in Illinois, the child protective industry has pretty much spent all the money the state has gave them for the year and is asking for more. In Tennessee, a judge orders the child protective industry to make public some of the records in regards to kids who died while under the state's watch. In Oklahoma, a young child was mistakenly put into a children's shelter, although babies were supposed to be placed in family-like settings. In Oregon, the governor is proposing a new differential response program to lower the number of kids in foster care. In Washington, a new report says that the child protective industry takes too long to investigate child abuse reports. And American adoptions from abroad are at their lowest levels in years as the U.S. and other countries try to meet stricter standards to prevent corruption and child trafficking. The United States takes a shot at the Russian adoption ban by taking away Russia's opportunity to know the fate of orphans who already live in the USA, while a Russian court allows a number of adoptions that were in the final stages of approval for American parents to go through. In Finland, over 50 Russian mothers are having problems with the child protective industry. In Australia, a newspaper is likely to face charges after publishing pictures of 4 girls who were involved in a custody battle with their father in Italy. And in Chad, more than 40 kids in a village become paralyzed after being given a round of vaccinations. In Canada, as the probe into the death of a young Manitoba girl continues, it is revealed that her social worker insisted that she was fine even after she had died. In Ontario, the child protective industry wants to start keeping kids until the age of 25. And in Saskatchewan, a woman is on trial for negligence in the drowning death of a toddler. In British Columbia, Canada, the children's watchdog is up in arms over the province's computer system for social workers, calling it a colossal failure. Researchers in Toronto are pushing to normalize pedophilia by claiming that it's a sexual orientation like homosexuality and that pedophiles are actually born that way through no fault of their own. And another study from the University of Toronto shows that toddlers can lie. In England, the chief inspector in Wales is concerned about the heavy caseloads of the British social worker. British social worker is accused of sexually abusing 2 girls while working as their live-in nanny. The British government wants to remove social workers' responsibility for adopting out their stolen children. A British judge rules that the court should not protect social workers from legitimate media scrutiny, and a social worker who got fired after driving drunk is blaming the lack of support she got for her alcohol problems. In entertainment news this week, actor Sylvester Stallone has paid out millions of dollars to silence his half-sister and made claims that he abused her. Eurythmics singer Annie Lennox helps to build an orphanage in Malawi, and Casey Anthony wins the reversal of her false statement convictions on appeal. In Florida, a foster mother is convicted of kidnapping and child abuse in the case case of Ryla Wilson, who was a 4-year-old foster child who disappeared more than a decade ago, but the jury was deadlocked on the murder charge. A Tennessee man is busted for having obscene online chats with a Florida foster teen. Florida authorities are investigating the death of a 5-year-old girl in foster care. The sheriff is taking the blame in that case because he didn't get the girl the required medical exam, and the girl's grandmother wanted custody of the kid before she died, but was refused. In California, a woman is facing charges of torturing and assaulting 2 adopted children. In Texas, a couple who lost their kids while in jail for letting them live in an old school bus is getting their kids back after making great progress in the eyes of the child protective industry, which is often forced to do the right thing while under media scrutiny. In Arizona, a foster parent who lives in a polygamous community says that he is a fit foster parent and is offended by all of the sudden criticism that he's been getting lately. And in Oregon, a foster mother is accused of punching a 4-year-old girl in the face. In California, Kern County's child protective industry has to pay $1.4 million to a parent whose kid they wrongfully stole. California court rules on a custody case involving a lesbian couple who adopted a Russian child, giving custody to the one who acted as the mother. In New Jersey, the child protective industry is pushing for a child to undergo surgery, which the parents who are from India oppose, saying that they haven't had enough proper medical advice. And in Maine, a 16-year-old runs away from his group home. In Washington, a CPS agent claims that her supervisor harassed her and wanted her to make decisions that endangered children. And finally, tonight in Florida, a mother writes a check to put her cop in her daughter's school to protect her from potential killers like the guy who shot up a school in Newtown, Connecticut a few weeks back, and a 5-year-old kindergarten student who was suspended from school and accused of terrorism after threatening to shoot another kid with her pink Hello Kitty bubble gun. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK, over and out.